Sit down there. Okay, that's all we have for you on The Late Show tonight. Good night.
Hi.
Hi. It was a long time you coming here, Mr. Richard.
I know, but I came when I could.
You came when you could. Well,
Yeah.
you're very, very welcome. How
Thank
you
you.
doing, son?
Good, excellent.
You're
I mean,
doing good.
I'm rushing around as though I was 18. You know, I was 18, but that was 4 or 5 years ago. And it's a big business still competing and promoting albums. And, you know, I've got the album and I've been rushing around trying to help the different... Because EMI has been fantastic to me. They sell my records still after all these years. So I thought, well, I better go on the road and push some sales up. So I've been traveling around for about 2 months now, just doing TV shows and saying hi to people and saying, hey, I'm still alive, which is difficult to prove sometimes.
We know. It hasn't seemed like 30 years, has it?
No, not at all, because I guess as you're living, well, I mean, anybody that's lived any length of time knows that it slips by very fast, and I don't feel any different now. Obviously, there are areas that feel different. You know, you arrive somewhere and everybody knows who you are and you're treated differently, and I mean, all that's rather nice, so I can recognize the difference now between being 18 and starting and being 49 and continuing. But in myself, I don't feel any different.
Just all got caught up on you. That's the way
Yeah.
it goes. I keep on reading, Cliff, about this relentless self-discipline that you exercise.
Oh, I don't know
in
about that.
food and drink and all of that. Tell me about that.
What do you want to know?
Well, I mean,
diets?
Diets and
Well,
you're not a drinker, are you? You're not a boozer.
oh no, I'm not a boozer, but I do like wine. I have wine usually with my dinners. But you know, when I became 40, it seemed that really from then on, it could be a downhill roll. You know, I mean, everything could just. But I felt that if I reached 40, then there was every chance that I'd reach 50. But how would I reach 50? Would I still be feeling okay? Would I physically be fit? And that's the big telling thing. So I took more seriously my dieting. I still only eat 1 meal a day. I try to eat, when I do eat, good food. I mean, I do like junk food. And I must admit, the aforementioned time, when I did time in London, I used to go home twice a week, only go to eat twice a week at home. The rest of the time I ate in good restaurants. But when I went home, I opened tinned food. And, you know, that potato mash that you mix with water? Oh, dollops of that with chicken curry out of a tin.
Oh.
And a good film, a good video. So, I mean, I like doing all the wrong things. So
Do you eat meat?
I do, yeah. Again, I think diets are... It's a matter of remaining moderate in all things. I think people tend to be so extreme these days. I think our bodies are actually designed to actually cope with anything. But there are some things that it finds it harder to cope with. I mean, I think red meat's one of those things. So I try not to eat as much red meat as I used to. When I go on tour, for instance, you tend to eat a lot of fish, a lot of chicken, go vegetarian for a couple of nights. So that my body's getting
a day,
everything.
Is that the evening meal or lunchtime or whatever?
I think it ought to be lunchtime,
Yeah,
but
it should
because
be,
I
yeah.
can't eat before performing, you know, if you have a meal before you go on stage, you spend a lot of time burping. You know, and I've got, funnily enough, I've got photographs that are sent to me. You know, you hold your microphone like this, and quite often you see shots like, and it's actually a burp. Anything to get away from the mic, you know. So I don't like that.
They all think it's passion.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Or something.
A passionate burp.
Yeah.
So I lay off the food really until after the show when it doesn't matter anymore. And of course I know that's not the best time, but I think my metabolism's kind of got used to it.
Got used to it now. Tell me about when your folks came back from India. How poor were you, in fact?
Well, quite poor, because you see, my father was quite well off in India. If you take, for instance, he was well off because he didn't have to pay for anything. The job he held down gave him, the company paid for a flat, and all the food we ate. We had servants. I mean, there was a massive staff, but we didn't have to pay for it. But it tends to mean, that kind of lifestyle tends to mean you don't own anything. And so when, in fact, Home Rule came to India, and it was obvious that we weren't going to be able to live there any longer, it was getting very uncomfortable to be British and live there, that my father wisely decided to get us out. But it meant that he had to sell whatever he did have to buy the tickets back home on a boat. So when we got here, if it wasn't for a kindly grandmother and then after that an aunt, we'd have been on the streets. Although, no, in Britain you can't be on the streets. I mean, somebody will look after you somewhere. So we were really poor. I mean, it's the way it was. We came from this relative wealth to abject poverty.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember, see, my dad, I mean, I think he's almost the last of that. My father seems to be of that generation that never gave in. You know, that the pride was perhaps a fault, but it was a good thing as well. And he wasn't going to ask any favors, and he built our first 2 armchairs. The only 2 bits of furniture we had in the house for about 2 years was these 2 armchairs that he built. We had mattresses on the floor, no beds. So it was pretty well poverty-stricken. But again, I don't remember being unhappy. So when I read about people being poor and unhappy, I'm not sure that the two necessarily go hand in hand. It can't be nice being poor. And from what I remember, though, but it wasn't an unhappy. I don't remember my childhood with great sadness. I only remember it being good fun, and I don't remember being unhappy.
Was he a hard man, discipline-wise?
He was a disciplinarian, yes. I mean, one bit I can remember once coming back from school saying, you know, the teacher hit me. You know, how dare I didn't do anything, and my father said, "What? The teacher hit you?" And he walloped me again. He said, "You must have done something wrong." So from then onwards, I never told him.
That was the way. I remember that too. Yeah. You never said you were hit by a teacher, because if you did, you were going to get another belt.
That's right,
just on principle.
You know, it's like everything, you know. We tend to sort of label everybody if somebody goes wrong. At the moment, we're talking about bent coppers. Oh, heaven help us if we don't have a police force. Of course there are bent coppers, because the police force is full of people. What's wrong with this earth? There's nothing wrong with the earth except its people. What's wrong with anything, any group? The only thing that's wrong with them is the people that's wrong with them. So you have to always tell yourself that really we've just got to make the best of what sometimes seems a bad deal.
And your mother, talk about your mother.
Well, my mum was a good foil to my dad. I always think of my career, you see, got started really at a very high level and has stayed at that high level. And my mum used to say to me when I was an amateur, you know, "You can do it. You're better than Elvis." You know, and you know,
now that was a proud mum. Let's face it. Don't come.
And I do appreciate your applause, but I never agreed with her. But she really pumped me up and said, "Get ahead, you can do it." And my father used to take me aside because he could see what was going on, and he said, "You know, look, just be careful, because you are desiring this so much. What are you going to do if it doesn't happen?" So he constantly made me aware of the fact that it may not take place. I may not become a singer. And so I feel that the two of them together were fantastic foils, because I had the enthusiasm, you know, and I was encouraged to have that enthusiasm. But on the other hand, my dad was warning me, look, if it fails, you've still got to get on with life. There's still a life to be led. So I feel that if I hadn't made it, I might well have dealt with that quite well, because I know that our industry, as you well know, chews up people and really spits them out. Right. It can be very damaging. People don't know when to stop trying. If I was starting now, if anybody's watching and wants to be a singer or whatever, a performer, I'd give yourself a bit of time. But when that time's elapsed, give in gracefully and do something worthwhile with your life, rather than struggle and be disappointed and become suicidal and depressed and dejected. You know, we can't all be fortunate, and I consider myself fortunate that I got started, because I was a greasy slob.
A greasy slob?
Well, if you see me next to Marty Wilde, Marty was the big star of Oh Boy. Well, we were both sharing the stardom of Oh Boy, but when you watch some of the clips that, you know, Kenny Everett keeps showing, I look like a little fat greasy slob, and Marty was all terribly cool and hey. And I don't know how I survived, because I don't know how I got by being that greasy slob. Perhaps I'm still a greasy slob, I just don't...
I can't imagine you, Cliffy, ever being a greasy slob, of all things.
Gay I was.
Really.
I promise you.
But you never starved in the garret for your art. I mean, you started there and took off.
Yeah, I must admit, someone said to me, what's it like starting at the top?
Yes.
Because it was that way. I mean, the more you read of other people's exploits and their rise to fame, you find that in many, many cases you'll find some of our most famous singers have been singing in different bands and failing. Even releasing records under different names and failing, and then finally struggling to make it. So again, I was fortunate, because the first record I made was actually the one that became a hit was a B-side. It wasn't even meant to be the A-side, but because I met a guy called Jack Good, who was the producer of a TV show, I want him on my show, but only if he sings the B-side. I don't want Schoolboy Crush, I want Move It. And he switched it all around, and I had this first massive great hit. So again, that was really, really fortunate.
Yeah, I'm just thinking as you're talking about Engelbert Humperdinck and what he suffered in the early days.
Did he suffer?
Oh, he was incredibly poor, and he got TB, and he lived over a furniture shop in Clapham or somewhere. I don't know where it was, but he really, really suffered until he wasn't Engelbert Humperdinck. He was
Jerry Dorsey.
And then somebody suggested he change his name to this ridiculous name and made a record, and wham, he was away.
And still the same singer.
Quite extraordinary.
It's amazing. I learned a lot of lessons very early on. For instance, when I did the pilot show of Oh Boy, the very first TV show I ever did, I sang this song, Move It, and it was just prior to its release. So no one knew it, and I was received okay, but nothing happened, and everybody screamed like mad when Marty Wilde came on. Oh, everybody went wild. 4 weeks later, my record was #2. I went on, and they went wild. Same song, same singer. I was even wearing the same pink jacket. So I learned, you know, nowadays I come off stage and people are very, you know, they're kind and they say, oh, you had the audience in the palm of your hand. And I know that people are only in the palm of your hand because they want to be there. The minute they don't want to be there, they'll just go somewhere else. They'll get into someone else's hand. So there's lots of things that you have to realize. And you reminded me of that by saying that Jerry Dorsey, obviously the same singer with a different name.
That's right.
Of course, also, he probably came up with a good record after maybe
Of course he did.
good songs.
Release Me.
The songs count.
Release Me.
Yes, that's right.
That was it.
The Little Lester Phillips record.
Cliff is going to sing for us. But before he does, we're going to take a commercial break just to show that I have you, audience, in the palm of my hand. Because you ain't going to go anywhere because he's here, right? So we take a break here and come back to us after this. He's going to sing again, all right? Go! Ha! 2, 3, 4. Yes, my friends. Yes, my friends, welcome back. It is live from the Late Late Show and Studio One here in Montrose. Welcome back. And let's have a welcome back for Cliff Richard.
First step to heaven I will take in my life. I am not afraid when I can hold you tight. If there must be an answer, then there must be your prayer. And you must be the angel when you're standing there. So I lean on you. I lean on you. My life is such a statement of my hopes and despairs. But nothing really matters just as long as you're there. You love me with such honesty, you love with no gain. You speak to me so tender and you never explain. So I lean on you. I lean on you. My baby, she cares, so easy to do. Maybe she always tells me the truth. Maybe she cares, so easy to do. Baby knows what I'm gonna do. That's why I lean on you. Dream of an island or a fantasy place where I can go to sometimes and no one can trace. Well, such is the nature of love, that when we dream it sometimes means we need love. So I lean on you. I lean on you. My baby, she cares, so easy to do. My baby, she always tells me the truth. My baby, she cares, and it's so easy to do. My baby knows what I'm gonna do. That's why I lean on you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. My baby loves me.
you know, it's wonderful the effect that some people have. There's a lady in the audience there, and she was singing along with you all the way on your Christmas song, every single word, and she was singing along with you there. The switchboard is jammed, absolutely jammed. I can see the lights all across the thing, and they're all sending you congratulations and fond good wishes and all sorts of things. Two things. Caller, 45 years old, all-time fan of Cliff. Her daughter with 2 children is an all-time fan of Cliff, and she had a daughter in turn, 3 years old, who is now, right now, sitting enthralled by you on the Late Late Show. And the woman says, wait for it, how does he manage to spellbind 3 generations of women? Oh, that's sweet. I'm just thinking I'm something to say myself, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yes, my love, do you want to talk to me? You do. Boom, gentlemen, over to the lady, the blonde lady. Yes, sir. Yeah, ma'am, I beg your pardon.
Could you ask Cliff, how is his tennis these days?
You ask him.
I heard that.
You heard that.
Well, it was all right last week, but the week before that it wasn't so good. Tennis is one of those games that if you don't play it regularly, you lose it, you know, particularly when you didn't have it in the first place. So I find tennis very difficult, and if I let go for a week, it leaves go of me. So at the moment, not so good.
Not so good.
But I'm going to practice more because I organise a tennis tournament every year. I mean, how else am I ever going to win one? So I've got to get prepared for December the 16th when I participate.
Yes, young man here with glasses, yes.
Can I just say to Cliff Richard there that a lot of people have been slagging him because he's in the business so long, but I'd like to say, if you can get away with it, why not?
He is settled for that. Yes, they all want in. Well done. Yeah, yes, a lady up at the back there with blonde hair and glasses. Yes, how you doing?
I went to see Cliff in the Lyceum Theatre in Sheffield when I was 13. And I spoke to him afterwards, and his guitarist in the Shadows, Hank, at the time.
We'll talk to anybody.
It's good to see you've had such a good run, Cliff.
Thank you. It's not, you know, the funny thing is, I do accept your comments, and I accept them in the spirit in which they're given, but it's not been easy anywhere along the line, because what I've had to do in 31 years is live through a lot of different types of competition. Within 5 years of having made it, we had to contend with the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and then with every 5 years there seems to be a brand new surge of interest in new people, and at the moment we're sort of battling. But you see, what I like about it is, it's not a matter, by the way, of getting away with it. I have to do battle with Michael Jackson, George Michael, Kylie Minogue, Jason Donovan, and what I like about my life at the moment is I look in the charts like in Europe, and I find myself there in the top 5 with all these youngsters, and it's not a matter of getting away with it. I've had to work really quite extremely hard.
Was there any time you thought you were done for? Beatles time?
When the Beatles first came on the scene, I thought, oh, this is it, because all we ever read, you know, you can remember that time there was 1 year when they were never, ever out of the nationals, never, ever out of the papers, and I thought, well, that's the end. And then I thought, wait a minute, though, it's not the end, because all the time this was going on, the Shadows and I were touring, and we were selling out our concerts. We had all our records released. They were always in the top 20. So we had to sort of be philosophical and say, well, people will come and they will capture the imagination of the public. And as long as you're true to what you do, you'll forge through. And so survival has become...
Yes, and of course you give the complete lie to the myth that people perpetrate. These are all big words.
Big words.
Big words. Sure. I know another one is called marmalade. The myth that goes on that people stop being interested in rock and roll like at around 26.
I know. Well, that's because when we were 18, you and I, Gay, the people who weren't 18 and who were in their 26s, 27s and in their 30s were already heavily into big band music and things. So there was a time when there was a gap. There was definitely a kind of generation gap, musically speaking. But here I am, one of the first of that generation to actually grow out of being 18 and 20 and 30s and 40s. What am I supposed to do? The only music I like is pop rock music. It's the only music I play in the car. What's happened maybe is that I've become much more tolerant of other art forms. You know, I'll go and see anything that's called a musical in the West End. Even if I don't like it, you still go and see it and you'll get something that you'll enjoy. But there isn't a musical in the West End at the moment that appeals to me musically. I like the shows, though. I mean, Miss Saigon is a very, very entertaining show.
Les Mis?
Les Mis.
Phantom.
Yes, they're all really entertaining shows, but musically speaking, they don't appeal at all.
No, but Tommy Steele is still in Singing in the Rain, isn't he?
Well, he comes back and does, apparently, I never saw that, but he's
Oh,
brilliant.
didn't you?
Apparently brilliant in it. So
Oh, Cliff, you've
I
got
should
to see
it,
Singing
yeah.
in the Rain, definitely. Yes, sir. Hello.
Your record with Van Morrison, Cliff, seems a very strange combination.
Why?
Van Morrison's very introvert, you're very extrovert.
Yeah, but we're both singers, you see. I think people forget that. That in the end, we both make records. And so if you both make records, you both know the technique, you know about emotion, you know about presenting a song. And in a way, it was, I feel it was far more of a wrench to work with the young ones. With Van Morrison, at least I was working with someone who's used to singing and producing interesting music. So for me, I must admit, it was quite a thrill when I got the phone call saying that he had this song and would I record it with him, because I must admit, I wasn't surprised that he should ring me, but it was out of the blue a little bit. But the more I think about it, the more I think people should be less surprised, because I've never been, hopefully, predictable. I mean, I'm the one that's recorded with Sarah Brightman, who's like a light operatic singer. I'm the one that made a record with the young ones, you know. I've sung with Elton John, I've sung with Phil Everly, I've sung with Olivia. So I'm the one that rings the changes, you see. So I'm never surprised when this sort of thing happens. It's just, I just take it as a great compliment to be part of someone. Van Morrison is a legendary figure, and to be coupled with him is great.
I know it drives you round.
I'll sign your autograph, I'll sign it.
Why did you never marry? Why were you never in love? What about? I've got to. I know.
Well, I
it
don't mind
drives
you asking.
crazy.
I've given the answer so many times, I always assume people know.
If it would relieve you, I'd nearly marry you myself.
This is why I'm not married. I feel that marriage is something that we ought to hold with a great deal of respect,
Yes.
with much more respect than we hold for it. And maybe in a way my Christian faith has been in a way a stopping a block for me, because when I look at what my faith tells me about marriage, it's so vital and so important and should be so all-consuming and so complete, and that's it, that I don't know that I could ever live up to it. Now, maybe I'm asking too much of myself, but until I feel that I can commit myself to one person, I don't want to take that step. And anyway, maybe I'm one of those people that's not going to be married. There must be somebody else out there. I can't be the only man in the world who is single, 49 and unmarried and weird. I'm not weird. You know, it's just, for me, it's completely normal that I should have a single life. And when I think of the things that I can do in my life, I wouldn't be able to do them. I wouldn't want to do them if I was married, because I would want to commit myself and my time to my wife and possibly children. So that's it, really. I'm not in love.
Does it drive you mad when they say, why don't you settle down and have a family?
And be happy.
And be happy, yeah.
Well, I'm happy. I'm just not settled down. Well, actually, I'm settled.
Fairly settled.
Yes, I'm settled and I'm happy. So it's
What's
2 out of
settled?
3. That's not bad.
What's settled,
Crikey,
for
what
God's
else
sake?
can people ask?
And did the media hype at the time of Sue Barker, you know, that must have driven you.
It did drive us a little bit balmy. I mean, not that I'm blaming the press. We broke up because we, as adults, decided we were not going to finish our relationship in marriage. It had nothing to do, actually, with the press, but they did not make it very easy. I mean, Sue would ring me up and say, there are these guys in a Mini outside, they're press people, they've been bothering me all day, I can't get out of the flat. And I said, wait till they've gone for a beer or something, and then scream out and come and I'll meet you so-and-so. I mean, that kind of thing went on. I came home once at 1:30 in the morning. We'd been out to see a show, had dinner, and I came back really late, and out of the bushes, in the darkness, flashlights. So I feel that sometimes they do encroach. I mean, I know that we need publicity, but there's an area when you have to say, look, I'd rather fail, but I don't want to see you anymore. I don't want to be in your newspaper. Because, you know, I think they use us and don't give us quite the same crack of the whip when we want to use them. But it didn't help our relationship, but I can't blame them for it breaking up. We decided, as adults, as I say, not to marry, and so therefore we split. And Sue is now a very happily married person. So I'm glad that we didn't marry, because I think it would have been a mistake.
Okay, that's that rubbish out of the way now. Well done. I wanted to ask you, is it a regret to you that you didn't make it big in America? You've had hits there, you've had albums, you've had...
Kind of. Regret's perhaps a little bit too big a word, because I still feel
You can't ask for very much more, can you?
No, I mean, that's my problem. I mean, how greedy can a person get? You know, I have so many things going for me and so many markets around the world. America's become a slight problem now, because, you see, I still release my records. And my new album will be available in America. If I make it in America, what will they demand? They will demand what they demand of Elton, of Rod Stewart, and all the people who have made it really big there. They have to spend months and months there. Am I prepared to give up the Far East? No. Am I prepared to give up Australia and New Zealand? Certainly not. Am I prepared to give up Australia and the UK? Certainly not. So I think to myself, maybe it's better I don't make it there, because at least I've got somewhere to go for a holiday where I can go shopping and no one bothers me.
Where's that?
America. I have had... I have to tell you...
You've got to be better known than that in America. Come on.
No, I'm kind of known. Oh, a few years back they had a poll and I was voted the best known unknown. And it's one of those places where I went to a hairdresser's to have having a haircut and sitting there. And hairdressers talk a lot. Hey, what do you do for a living? I went... I said, I sing. He said, oh, yeah? Do you make any money at it? I thought, how do I explain to this guy that I can't walk about Britain? And I couldn't. I said, well, I do all right. But that's the way it is. And I just, it's not high on my list of priorities, but I still am open to offers.
But there's still a hankering.
Yes.
This is the headquarters of show business.
It's the fatherland of rock and roll. It's where it came from. Elvis was my first big influence. Why is it everyone else went right by me? I introduced Olivia Newton-John to the world in terms of art and singing, and she went ahead and made it huge out there. I kind of felt left behind, and she now tells people about me, which is very sweet of her.
Do you remember the moment you first heard Elvis?
Yes, I can. I was walking about with a few friends of mine in the town of Waltham Cross in Hertfordshire. I was 14. A car had stopped. Obviously, the guy had got out to buy a newspaper or something like that. The window was down, the engine was running, the radio was on. And as we were walking by, I heard, "Since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell." And I went, we all went like that. And then this guy rushed back in the car, slammed the door, and off. So we didn't know, and we started listening to the AFN, the American Forces Network, and Radio Luxembourg, and sure enough, within about 2 or 3 days, I heard, "Since my baby," and they said Elvis Presley. And I couldn't believe it, and it changed my life, because up until that time, I hadn't really wanted to be like any of the singers.
And was he that different, Cliff?
Yes, because if you think that he came through, really great singers that were around at the time were Perry Como, Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, Teresa Brewer, Rosemary Clooney, fantastic singers, but they didn't inspire me to be like them. I just thought they're really good singers. Elvis came through, and there was this kind of animal thing. And then when you analyze it later, it's because of Elvis's background in the South, black influence, a bit of jazz, a little bit of country. And all of that came together and became pop. And what I like about pop rock now is that it doesn't depend on anything. It's neither soul nor country. It's not jazz nor anything else. It is just pop rock in all its various guises. So Elvis was very important, and I think he was very, very different.
I see. You want me to take a call, Dennis? What line, love? I'll take line 1. Very good. Hello, line 1.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello, this is Kevin Thorpe here from Rush. I'm 49 years of age. I'm 3 months younger than Cliff. The children in my class think that I'm 65 years of age. I'm just wondering, I would like to ask Cliff, does he use Grecian 2000?
Only on my chest. No, I'm going slightly grey at the temples if you want to catch it, but I thought I wouldn't fight it.
And for your information, neither do I. Thank you. The phones are going mad. Are you signing anywhere tomorrow? You're not, are you? You're
no, singing anyway.
I beg your pardon.
I'm not signing either.
Why can't you spell, Dennis, for heaven's sake?
No, I'm not. I'm going home tomorrow because I have to.
You're going home tomorrow.
I have to go off to, I think it's France on Monday.
I know about the presentation. Don't worry. Don't leave me for a moment. I want you to do something. Because everybody has lots of favourite records that they want. I loved Bachelor Boy. Will you do Bachelor Boy? The little guitar behind. Because hold on for a moment. Because
I was warned.
Because we just happen to have a guitar standing by, my friends. It's always lying there doing nothing. Bachelor Boy.
All right. Where are you, Hank? When I was young, my father said, "Son, I've got something to say." And what he told me I'll never forget until my dying day. He
said, son, you are a bachelor boy, and that's the way to stay. Son, you be a bachelor boy until your dying day. When I was 16, I fell in love with a girl as sweet as can be. But I remember just in time what my daddy said to me. He said, son, you are a bachelor boy, and that's the way to stay. Happy to be a bachelor boy until my dying day. One more. Yeah, I'll be a bachelor boy, and that's the way to stay. Happy to be a bachelor boy until my dying day.
Now, who said he couldn't play the guitar? There's living proof of it before your very eyes.
What, proof that I couldn't?
Cliff Richard's latest album was called Stronger. Stronger than what?
Stronger than last year's?
Just ask him. Stronger. You can get it on album or you can get it in cassette. And guess what? He has one for every one of you in the audience. I knew that'd swing it for you. They didn't like you up to then.
I know. And I
They
think
didn't
it's
take anything of you up to then.
Well, I think it's fantastic. When the Late Late Show told me they were going to pay for all these cassettes, I said, I'll hand them out. I'll hand them out.
Paul, we got something to talk about right after the show, okay? Okay, now I have something else to do. Because you have been wondrous successful in Ireland, and this is your official platinum. My God, you must have these by the new time. They must be, you must use it as wallpaper.
What is it for? Tell me what it's for.
It's for, presented by EMI to Cliff, for sales in Ireland exceeding 15,000 units of the album.
Thank you very
Strong.
much. Gary, thank you very much.
That's for you. That's for you.
I knew it was, I was told that it was #1, but I didn't know that it had gone this. Thank you very much.
Until
you know,
the day you die,
I can see, Gay, why you became an interviewer.
Don't be cruel to poor Uncle Gabriel. It's not very nice. I wonder, what is that thing that you
I don't know,
have?
it came with the suit.
Oh, did it? I see that.
I did. The suit was for sale and it had this on it. And when I bought it, I said, "You throw that in?" They said, "Certainly, sir."
Certainly, sir. Oh, will they refuse
So it
you?
looks like it just
Here,
happened.
listen, it's great to have had you on the program. Thank you very much for coming. Come
My
back
pleasure.
to us next year without a shadow of doubt.
Oh,
do
yes.
in the point. Thank you very much indeed. Cliff Richard, ladies and gentlemen. Well